Every month I'm going to post a video about really common supervision questions, and I think probably the one that comes up most often in supervision is the question about what do we do if they ask us for advice. And the way I'm going to explore this is I'm going to offer you some questions which you can take away and think about and journal and use. You might want to engage in conversation in the chat with others, say what you're thinking, ask more questions, make observations, do whatever is useful. So we're going to take it from two sides. One is, what do these things trigger in you as a human being? And the other side is, what are the kind of tips that you can use to navigate them? So what happens when they ask us for advice? I think the human triggering question is, that I want to ask you is, what is it that happens in you when someone asks you for advice? That means that you rush towards the offering, the giving, the suggesting, the helping. What is it that's triggered in you? So it might be a real desire to add value. You know, we're selling our services to somebody else. We're asking them to pay for us. And there can be a feeling that we're paying for what we do or what we give or the value that we add. And I want to say that until we realise that we don't add value by trying to add value, we won't add value. So we can give too much. So that's one thing to think about. Another thing to think about is that John Whittington draws on the work of Bert Hellinger, who did a load of work around coaching constellations. And Bert Hellinger said, have no intention, especially to help. So another question to ask yourself is, what's happened in my past that might give me this overwhelming need to help? If that's what it is, that would be something that's worth thinking about. So yeah, some trigger questions that might give you a little bit of a sense of where this overwhelming desire might to help or to add value or to give advice might come from. Then of course you've got the person who arrives hungry for advice. And one of the things that I notice a lot is that coaches will go, oh well, coaching isn't giving advice. And what they then do is they teach the person that coaching isn't giving advice by giving them advice that coaching isn't about giving them advice. And that can get us into all sorts of tangledness. So for me, a tip, I suppose, is not to take any notice. I know we have to be ethical and I know we have to be clear what's coaching and what's not. But if you say, how would you like to do this? And they say, I'd really like you to give me some advice. Then the art is just take no notice and just see how you get on without giving advice. But there's a huge difference between sharing knowledge and sharing advice. So advice is, have you thought about speaking to your line manager, for example? Because actually what you're saying is that's not a question because it's got the answer in it, and that is hidden advice. And that's a suggestion, which is really a code for I think you should. But actually sometimes people are asking for information which they don't have. When I trained to be a coach in the 1990s, Thomas Leonard, who was the founder of the place I trained, he said that the client always has the answer. Well, that's just not true. The answer is always out there, usually out there, but that doesn't mean that they've got it inside them. And sometimes we need to help them work out where that is. So another thing is, what are they asking for? Are they asking for information? Are they asking for opinion? Are they asking for advice? Are they asking for what? So just being clear about that can help you discern what the right thing is. And if they are asking for information, I would try and offer more than one thing. So, or opinion. Offer more than one thing. Because if you offer one thing, then it's like you're selling it. So I might say, that's an interesting question. What I notice is some people do this, some people do this, some people do this. What do you think you might do? So can you hear what you're doing is you're giving them, you're throwing some more stuff into the pot, but you're also inviting them to pick it up and do what they will with it. So that's one option. Another option that's quite useful is that often when people are saying, what would you do? What you would do isn't the thing that's going to really help them move forward. What's going to be much more useful for them is getting a sense of how you might think about what you would do. So then you can just say, actually, I'm really happy to share with you how I might go about thinking about that. Some of the things I might think about are this and this and this. And then again, now you've heard that, what do you think you might do? So always give it back to them. But remember the David Rock and Jeffrey Schwartz thing that says we can't make meaning for someone else. They can only make meaning for themselves. So one of the issues about advice is that we jump the way to make the meaning for them when actually they need to take the time to reflect on that themselves. So that's one that's also worth thinking about. So offer. If they ask for advice, offer, don't tell, and offer enough things that they don't know which your preference is. And even in the ICF, if that's your tribe, which is the most non-directive version of coaching, it is okay to offer, but you need to offer more than one thing and let them make their choice and not say it for too long. So in this short video, we've thought about what's the trigger in you as a human, and we've thought about some of the tips that you might start using. So I'm really interested to hear your response to that in the comments below. If there are lots more questions, then we'll do another video to build on what's in this one. And as you finish listening to this today, what's the one thing that you might do differently if you are likely to slip into advising or offering too much? So have a think about that and see you next time. Bye-bye. Oh.